December 2016. That's when the accident happened with the farm gate. So that's how old were you at the time? Like 50?
Must have been 51, 52. Yeah. It must have been 52. Yeah. Just a freak accident, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. What was this something to do with a gate on a goat farm?
Yeah. So I've got a mate that started a goat farm down in the Manawatu. And they had 900 goats, housed in this big, awesome shed. And she asked me if I'd like to come along and do farming for a while. So I was like, yeah, I would like to give this a go.
Growth mindset.
Yeah.
David, if you had a fixed mindset, you wouldn't have been there that day.
So, I jumped at the chance. And just one particular day, there's these big deer fence gates and they're covered in corrugated iron. Now, the reasoning behind that is to keep the weather out of the animals that are housed inside this shed.
Okay, so it's not to keep the animals in, it's just to keep them safe and dry, comfortable.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Yep. It's keeping their housing and that dry. So, in this particular day, I was closing this gate ready for milking, and just a freak gust of wind, mate, just picked me up and the gate and slammed me against a post. A big deer fence post.
Wait, what are your recollections of that? Did it happen in slow motion, or it just happened so quick that
it happened so bloody quick?
Yeah, like a matter of seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was, to lift me and my fat ass off the ground, it had to be a pretty good, gust of wind. So it just slammed me there, and I ended up on the ground. Obviously, the gate slammed and then reopened, and I just landed on the ground. And I looked at my arm, and it was just bent in like an L shape. Unbelievable.
Like blood coming out, or had it slashed it, or just bones everywhere?
Just completely, like this here was just in a V. So imagine that. Both bones were just snapped completely in half, mate.
But the bones weren't poking out of the skin, or...
No. You don't have to get that bloody gruesome, man.
I just want to paint a picture of what you went through here. So you're adrenaline kick. Are you in pain, or are you just...
I think the adrenaline had kicked in by then, so no, I wasn't in pain. But I had this small nick on my knee, obviously from a bit of corrugated iron. I just sort of got a nick. Well, that was more bloody painful, mate. Seriously. It was so painful. I don't know what was going on. I don't know whether the pain had transferred down to here, but it was just bizarre. So away we went to the hospital. Get to the hospital, get to A&E, and the guys, they were great there. They took one look and they said, yep, well, we don't really need to send you for an x-ray, Shaz. We can see what's going on. So they took me into a room, knocked me out for 5 minutes and realigned it and stuck me in a temporary cast. And I can remember the doctor in there saying to me, you'll need to go to surgery tonight, Shaz, to get it plated and pinned. Just couple of plates and a couple of pins on each side, just a normal 6 to 8 week recovery. And I'm like, yep, can handle that.
So you're feeling okay? You're feeling pretty good about it? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm like, okay, surgery tonight, that's fine. He said, because if you don't go to surgery tonight, Shaz, he said there's going to be some serious complications. Unfortunately, I didn't go to surgery that night.
And were you, after being told that, were you... I don't know. Like, were you sort of... I mean, it's easy to have this line of questioning and have this conversation with the benefit of hindsight, but were you sort of like, pushing it yourself and saying, hey, listen, I need to get to surgery. I got told I need the surgeon.
At that stage, no, because they told me that I'd go that night.
Okay.
So, I was reassured that, it was going to happen that night. So I was like, okay. So you just go with it, right?
Yeah, well, they're the experts.
Yeah, you just roll with it. So I'm like, okay. Get that night at about 7 o'clock. They come and tell me that, no, I was going to be bumped again. This went on for 5 days, mate. 5 friggin' days.
See, again, we've got the benefit of hindsight here, but if it was me, I think if I was told you need to get to surgery ASAP or else there's going to be complications, I'd like to think I'd be like aggressively pursuing it and pushing it and following up.
I think I was.
Yeah.
But obviously, you're in a lot of pain. The reason why I was in a lot of pain was because I could see my fingers were starting to swell. My hand was starting to go black, and the pain was starting to get quite intense. So that's when I sort of got pretty, let's say, forceful. Mm-hmm. And I'd say to the nurses...
So this is day...
This is day about 3 and a half.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, look, I really need to see somebody here. And of course the nurses had come in. Oh, we'll give you some more Panadol, Shaz, you know. In the end, I did. Day 5, I said, you know, this is bullshit. I'm in pain. I want to see somebody. I want a doctor in here today. I need to see. I said, have a look at my hand. And by that stage, you could see my knuckles, my fingers were going black. So I didn't know what the rest of the arm was like.
So you were sort of starting to panic?
Well, I wasn't starting to panic.
No.
I was in pain.
Okay.
I was in severe pain.
Right.
Because don't forget, I'm still in a temporary cast. So a lot of the swelling couldn't swell. So anyway, the surgeon came in, and I can remember it. It's just like he walked through that door, and I'm in a bed here like this, sitting up, and he just walked in the door, and my arm was obviously sitting here, and he just said, "Get her to surgery now." And I can remember, mate, I was rushed out of that room and down to surgery. So I had surgery thinking that I was going to come out of that and I'd just be,
Back to
you know,
normal.
couple of 4 plates, you know, 2 plates on each bone and screws in each bones. When I came to, the surgeon was actually standing by my bed, and me and my big mouth, I said, "What's going on? Have you cut me fucking arm off?" Wow. He says, "No, Shaz, we haven't," but he said, "I need to inform you, we've had to do a fasciotomy."
What's that?
Exactly. I said, "Speak to me in English." So a fasciotomy, because I couldn't see my arm. It was all bandaged up.
Right.
I had no idea what it was looking like. So a fasciotomy was, they cut right down the inside of my arm, cross my hand, cross this side of my hand, and all the way back up this side. Now, the reasoning of that was it's to release the pressure because it had swollen so much. It was severely swollen. So from there, every second day I went back to theatre and they stitched up segments about this big each time. So I had 9 surgeries in 11 days. On the 11th day, this young intern came in to my room and he says, "Oh, I'm just going to have a look at your check your arm, Shaz." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's fine." Didn't warn me about what the hell my arm was going to look like or what I was about to see. He took all the bandages off and the dressing off, and I don't know if you've seen any photos, Dom, but
No, I haven't.
but there was this gaping hole in my arm. So this massive hole here.
Now, some people will be watching this on YouTube. Most people will be listening to it. Look, what sort of size? Anything you can compare it to in terms of size?
Probably the size of a tennis ball.
Okay. Oh shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So and as round as a tennis ball. So
Whereabouts? Like on the Like on
just
the
in
forearm.
Here, yeah, just
on
in
the
here where
wrist
they
area.
were trying to close up. And that was, and I looked and I was like, holy shit balls, you know. And then I looked and I said to him, "Oh, is that a bit of gorse?" And he goes, no, that's your tendon. I'm like, fuck, you know, I'm sitting there for the first time seeing my arm and here's this massive hole.
I mean, they would make you queasy looking at it on someone else's
it
arm.
did.
Looking at it on your own arm, are you panicking at that point?
I wasn't panicking. I was sort of like, to be honest, I was probably sort of steering away from it, you know, at this point. And I said to him, "Why the hell have I still got that hole there?" And he says, "Oh, we can't close that, Shaz. We tried to close it. And when you woke up last time, you were in so much pain. Can't you remember?" And I says, "No." And he said, "No, we had to rush you back into theatre and take those stitches out. We can't close it. It's too, he's still too swollen." So from there, they sent me down to Hutt Hospital in Wellington to the plastics unit where they removed a bit of my backside. Not that you can notice. And
like a skin graft.
Yep.
Yeah.
And stuck it in, slapped them in there, and that was going to be what my arm was going to look like. So from there I went home. Good old recovery, you know, best recovery, in bed, sleep. You know, let's be honest, sleep is our best recovery.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. So when you leave the hospital, by the way, that's a lot to go through. Like how many operations? Like
So
9
I had probably 11 operations,
Right.
all up in 14 days.
Yeah, that takes it out of you.
It does, yeah.
But you were sent home, so you've had all these surgeries, all the stress of this and the skin graft as well, and you're sent home and you think you're just going to recover and it's going to be good, all good.
Just
That's what you
honestly,
led to
I
believe.
was sent home and I thought, yep, my arm's going to, this is the recovery stage now.
Yeah.
We're starting the 6 to 8 week recovery. But when I left Hutt Hospital, they made another appointment for me to come back so that they could check the skin graft, obviously. So yeah, about a month later, went back down there once again, took all the dressings off, and it was the first time I got to see my arm. I probably should have brought you some photos, Dom. It's on the phone. I can easily show you.
No, thanks.
They're pretty gruesome,
Yeah.
you know. It'd show whether you're a man or a mouse, you know.
Oh, I'm a mouse. No, I might get some off you for my video guy. You might want them.
for sure. So yeah, it was the first time I got to see my arm. Yeah, not pretty. So I was scarred all the way down here. Had this massive, you know, skin grafting in here, which in a month's time, the skin grafting had shrunk down and it was looking okay.
So what do you reckon? Did it look like an arm that had been like chewed by a dog or something? Would you say? Or
yeah, a shark.
a shark, right?
Yeah,
right.
yeah, just.
And so when you see that, do you? What's your initial reaction? Like, do you break down and cry? Like you?
No, what's the point of crying? You know, it's only spilled water. You know, you look at it and yeah, you're disappointed. I didn't realise the extent of my injuries or the hospitals. Let's put it this way: I didn't realise the extent of the hospital's fuck up. Because this should not have happened.
Are you frustrated at that point? I know you're not a person that likes to look back in anger, but take you back to that moment.
Honestly, I'm not frustrated. I'm more. All I wanted to do was put my energy and my time into my recovery. What's the point of feeling anger, you know, and boiling yourself up? It's not going to benefit you at all. So
no, but if it was me, I'm probably projecting here. I'd be fucking infuriated.
well, you know, at that point, it hadn't really hit me, Dom.
Okay.
It really hadn't hit me as to what I was going to be left with, what sort of arm I was going to have.
Okay, so this stage, your arm's a mess, but you think it's going to be fine.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, totally. Thinking that I was still going to have the use of an arm and I was going to have, you know, my other arm, my left arm. So yeah, as rehab sort of continued on, the scars, they didn't really improve. The hole that was in there from my skin graft, yeah, it was there. It wasn't pretty, you know. I mean, I'm not a cosmetic chick by any means. Take a look at me. You know, fuck, I don't buy that shit, you know. I was born this way. Why try and spend thousands of dollars trying to cover it up? So, you know, the cosmetic sort of side of things didn't really worry me. But when I saw this, it did start to get to me that, you know, this isn't good. Because in the end, I used to just have my arm sitting here like this, trying to protect it, because it was useless.
Yeah,
it was
actually,
friggin' useless.
For anyone that's listening to this, imagine, so Shaz is missing her left arm now, but you held it like it was in an invisible sling.
Yep,
Yeah,
for sure.
up against the body.
Yeah,
Okay.
perfect. So I just hold it there and just try and protect it. And in the end, you know, it was useless, mate. I had a name for it. You ready for
I've heard
this?
you say this in a couple of podcasts. Yeah, cock in a sock.
I used to call it my cock in a sock.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Well, it was just fucking useless. You males will understand that, you know, at times, you know, and that's why I used to call it that. It was just useless because it was in like a bandage and it was just, it just used to hang. It used to flop. So that was my name for it. You know, I was trying to make light of situation and, you know, different things, and that was a way of calling it something ridiculous and having a bit of fun with it. But yeah, in the end, it just became redundant. I lost all muscle mass and it was just redundant.
Just there. But did you still have like your grip strength in your wrist and your hand? Okay, so
I lost everything, mate.
Okay, so it was literally like redundant. It was.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm thinking about things, and we can get to this later. Like things that you do now that you know people with both hands and both arms would take for granted, like doing up buttons on your shirt, for example.
Yeah.
Could you use your left hand when you had that post-accident? No. Okay.
No, I couldn't do.
So it was just sort of ornamental.
Oh, it was.
Okay.
And it was an ugly ornamental.
Okay.
You know, it wasn't a nice thing to have sitting there. But, you know, I still carried on with my life. I still went out and done things, but it got to a point where I could see that possibly I could go into a different spiral.
What do you mean?
I could have gone down this path of anger.
Yeah.
And being grumpy and being annoyed and getting frustrated. And I didn't want to go down that path, Dom. I really, really didn't want to go down that path. I could see how easy it would be for somebody to spiral on a downward path. So I had to make a decision. And it had to be my decision. Couldn't be anybody else's. So I thought, I want to move on with my life. I don't want to be stuck in this position where, I could get in a situation that I didn't want to be.
Negative headspace. And,
yeah. I wanted to move forward with my life. So I had to make a decision and make so it was, I came up with this most radical, stupid decision. And it just, it just felt right.
I don't know. You say a radical, stupid decision. I know you're doing that, say that tongue in cheek, but it feels like it was probably the sensible or even the only decision to make. Yeah or no?
Yeah, I mean, some people wouldn't go to that extreme. It was pretty extreme, this decision. When I threw it at my husband, whoa, mate.
Yeah.
Nah.
So you guys been married like 30 odd years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's my best mate.
And he's got you.
He's got my back, mate.
Yeah. There's no agenda whatsoever at that point.
He's got my back, and so I threw this idea, and I came up with how am I going to approach this with him? Because it's a big thing, So one day I just said to him, "Can we sit down and have a talk?" And I just said to him, "I've made a decision. And I hope you'll support me." But I said I want it off. And he was, no, not at all.
Was it why? Why was that his initial?
I don't know. It was,
Because he must have had, so this was, the amputation was 2018. So it's like a couple of years of you recovering or trying to recover or dealing with this, useless limb that you called a cock and a sock. Why was that his initial reaction? It must have been something that occurred to him over that time.
Well, no, I don't think it had. I think, I don't know whether it was because he thought it may improve over time.
I suppose you always hold out hope, eh?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
We all do, don't we?
Of course.
We all hope that, it's going to be for the better. But I knew that wasn't going to be for the better. So I wanted to make it for the better. And the only way for me to make it better was to, remove it. Cut the bugger off. Get rid of it. Feed it to the flaming dogs. The
dogs are like, we don't want that. It looks like a shark's already had a go at it. Okay, so Owen's initial reaction is no.
Yeah.
Does that come from a place of like love or concern for you?
So.
Or
I honestly believe it was because, he loves me.
Yeah.
And he was looking out for me. But... so I had to sort of coax it around a bit, I did have to coax him around. In the end, I just said to him, look, it's my life, it's my body, and this is what I want to do. And I said, I hope you support me. And he did. Obviously. He came round and he knew that, over time, I think he thought about it. And he knew that it was the right thing for me to do.
Did you guys come up with like a list of pros and cons or anything? Or
No. I actually spoke to one of my mates and said that, because I didn't talk to a lot of people about it, because I knew they'd all be, no, you can't have that, Shaz, and I didn't want all those negative reactions. But I did speak to one mate, and she said, Shaz, what you should try doing is tying your hand behind your back for a week and see how you go. And I thought, nah, if I'm doing this, I'm going in boots and all. It's just going to happen. And you just got to deal with it then, don't you?
Yeah, but there's no reversal.
Oh, absolutely not. But I mean, you just got to deal with it.
Oh, no, wait a minute. I've decided I want the useless arm back. Yeah.
I found a surgeon.
Did you need to did they make you undergo any compulsory counselling or anything like that?
Yeah, I had to do a couple of sessions. Oh, shit, that's a lot of crap, isn't it?
Well, it's easy. I mean, I had the same sort of thing, mandatory, very, very different situation, but mandatory counselling when me and JJ, my wife at the time, were undergoing fertility stuff, and we were about to use a mate's sperm, donor sperm, and you have like mandatory counselling, but it's easy to say the answers that you should say.
For sure.
It's very easy to fool them, I think.
I just felt like I was just doing a recording.
Yeah.
It was yes, no, yeah, nah, yeah, I suppose so. It was... Yeah, like you say, I think it's very easy to fool them. Not that I was out there to do that, Dom. Not at all.
No. And I'm exactly the same. And it's one of those things, God, it
It's
feels
a
like I'm trying
process
to.
we have to go through.
Yeah, and like with my situation, which is very different to yours, with the donor sperm thing. Like I had a couple of years leading up to that where it's like this may be a path we have to go down. So you
Yep.
have time to think about it. Same with you, I guess.
Yep.
You had a lot of time to think about.
Well, I didn't really because, it happened in December 16, the accident. So I only had that 12 months, that from recovering to making a decision to getting it removed.
Yeah.
Honestly, I must have had red flags by my name because you don't just go into a surgeon and say that you want to remove a part of your body and next minute you're getting it done. So I think they sort of knew that that's fucked up basically, and okay, if this is what she wants, so let's make this happen for her. Plus, I think my surgeon, he was fantastic. I still have a great relationship with him now. He's done my knees, so he's seen quite a bit of my body, and he's always helped me now.
Yeah.
He's made things happen for me. So anyway, I saw him and he put me on to Prof Thurston, a professor down in Wellington who was obviously the man for amputations. So I contacted him and we had a few emails back and forth, and then next minute I get this email saying, let's make it happen. So we did. From there it just evolved.
So what's that process? Do you discuss where it's going to be cut off, or?
So we talked about it and discussed it, and because I was cut right up here, right up to my elbow basically, and it was a bit of a mess, he said, we can do a below elbow, Shaz, but he said, I would suggest we go above elbow.
So below elbow would make it easier in terms of like prosthetic
Prosthetics
limbs
and things.
okay, yeah.
And if you see a lot of arm amputees, a lot of them are below elbow. There's not many of us that are above elbow, so we're the special ones, obviously. So we went. So he amputated it just above the elbow here.
Yeah.
So it was, as you can see, it's a lot shorter now than what it was when we first done it. But then after he amputated, we had complications. And not only do I have severe phantom pain, I have this thing called CRIPS, which is complex regional pain syndrome. And like I said to you a bit earlier when we were talking, it's like if you've ever peed on an electric fence, you know what it's like. You get that full instant jarring and that shocking. Well, that's what I have.
When does that is that sporadically or occasionally?
No,
or like
it's all the time.
Really?
It's permanently. So
it constantly sort of feels like
yeah.
you're being tattooed, say.
Yeah.
What do you take for that?
So I don't take. I instantly got off the tramadol and the Sevrodol and all that sort of stuff, and then I've had some super support people around me, and we've tried different things. I've been in contact with a pain specialist, Dr. Amwar up here, and we've been dealing with him and my people down in Palmy. And we've tried different medications, obviously.
I'm just trying to get my head around something. So post accident, but pre-amputation, were you in pain? You had this useless arm.
I had discomfort.
Right.
Had discomfort, but I wouldn't call it pain. And then once we amputated it, obviously the nerves didn't agree with that. Because don't forget, it was a massive trauma of being smashed and broken. You've got both bones completely broken in half, snapped in half. So it's a massive trauma. It's not like just a break that a kid has in the playground, from falling out of a tree.
Yeah.
This was severe in their terms. So that trauma on its own has fired the nerves from that trauma. So once we had it amputated, it's obviously elevated that pain and the nerve endings. So so we've had 2 further amputations since then, where I've had an awesome surgeon down at Hutt Hospital, Dr. Bisson. He really looked after me and tried different things. So we went back to surgery another time. This is a couple of years later. And he what he done was he shortened it. He found, well, he obviously opened up Stumpy, found the nerves, stretched them, seared them, and then he let them go, hoping that the nerve endings would end up somewhere back up here, so that there'd be no pressure or nerve endings down here where I was getting all the pain. So we were hoping that was going to happen and eliminate the pain. Unfortunately, it didn't. So about a year, maybe 18 months later, he tried to have another go, and we went through this whole process of, he had this brainwave of, and this idea that he had to take to a panel to get it approved first to go ahead and do this. So I still didn't know if I was going to have this third amputation or not.
So they're just like going higher and
yeah.
Oh God.
So we got the go ahead and the approval to do this third amputation, and what he done then was, once again, he opened up Stumpy, found those nerve endings which had neuromas growing on the end of them, which was causing the pain. So he, once again, he stretched them, he cut them, and then removed those neuromas, and then he seared them again, the nerve endings, and then what he done was he drilled straight through my bone, and he's inserted the nerve endings into my bone, so that if the neuromas grow back again, hopefully it won't penetrate through the bone. And that was, he said to me, Shaz, this is the last thing I can think of doing for you. So, you know, I've had some awesome team behind me trying to help me as much as possible with this pain. Unfortunately, it hasn't worked. So we're still in pain. So Stumpy's still a prick.
Yeah, I've heard you refer to it as Stumpy in a couple of podcasts that I've listened to. And why did you decide to name it? When did that happen? Did that happen pre the amputation?
No,
or?
so I honestly, when I first had the amputation, the day of the surgery, I woke up and I looked down, and here was this big, fat, bandaged stump. And I just looked down, and I had the biggest smile on my face, Dom. And I just looked down and I said, "Welcome to Shaz's world, Stumpy." And it's just stuck, and
Yeah.
honestly, it was the best decision of my life.
Yeah.
Absolutely best decision of my life, mate.
Yeah, the Stumpy thing. The thing I like about that is, rather than like mourning what you're losing and talking about losing your arm, you talk about gaining something new.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know if that was subconscious or an intentional thing, but it's a way of framing it.
It was just like, this is the start of a new journey. This is going to be an awesome journey. And I just wanted it to be a great journey.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be a whole new journey. Stumpy and I were starting over, and it was a new beginning. And like I say, the best friggin' decision of my life, mate.
Stumpy and Shaz on tour sounds like some sort of weird comedy movie that you'd see in Video Easy back in the day.